What's up, guys? Welcome back to Unified Mood. I am, as always, so glad that you are here. Today, we are going to be talking all about it, setting boundaries and starting to recognize the people that are around you and connecting with how your emotions really feel once you step away and when you are present in that moment. But before we get into that juicy topic, I just want to say this is my first podcast shooting back after releasing Unified Mood. And honestly, I guess my dreams, my goals and aspirations, if you listen to the first podcast, was that I would be able to make the impact on just one person's day. And if I could make one person listen to my podcast and they could step away and feel more empowered and go out and do incredible things, then as far as I'm concerned, it is worth every fiber of my being, every part of my energy of the day to be able to do so. But it has gone over and beyond my wildest dreams of expectations of what the podcast, what my words meant to you. And it is like the most satisfying, rewarding feeling to know that it has nothing to do with your exterior and that you can add so much value into people's lives purely by your life experiences and your outtake in life. So first of all, thank you so much for your messages, your love and support and sharing the podcast and everything. Every second that I read it, I am just blown away. I have to tell you a story though, because honestly, it was one of the most moving stories that has probably ever happened to me. And I was out on a Sunday afternoon. We were at Ryan's event at one of my favorite venues in Brisbane. Brisbane. And I literally feel so emotional even like going in to tell this story because I've just never had something so surreal and amazing happen. I mean, I've definitely had encounters with people before that have blown me away, but this was something else. And I was standing there and this beautiful girl came over me and it was one of those like awkward little interactions where I thought she was trying to walk past me or maybe like talk to my friend, but she was standing there and she was holding two mugs. You know how I love a mug. And I was like, oh, come on through. And she's like, no, this is for you. And I was like, for me. And this beautiful, sweet angel just burst out crying. And I was standing there and I had no idea what was going on. And she was standing there and I was like, wow, what sort of moment am I about to experience right now? And so we put the drinks down and she just came up to me and she was saying how grateful she was for the podcast and that she was listening to my Confidence and Courage podcast. And she said to herself, I've like followed Henny, like I love watching her for so long and I know that she's going to be there today. And so I want to go and meet her. Like I want to have the courage to go and meet her and to say thank you for everything that she's done and for the value and to buy her a drink. And so she had the courage to come and she went and bought her partner. She drove to the shop and bought her beautiful partner a new outfit and everything. They went and had lunch and had a beautiful experience. And she was so nervous, of course, like so nervous, like, but to have the courage to be able to go and see someone that you maybe really are inspired by or motivated by, but just purely to say thank you for the value that they add to their world. Like it was the most amazing encounter. I can't even bring to words what it felt to know that my words resonated so deeply. And for many of you guys that have been listening, particularly to that podcast, it has been hitting really deeply. And that's what I want to do. I want you guys to listen to every single word that I say and to impart it into your every single day life, to apply it to your every single day life, and to have the courage to go out and go and buy your favorite person or a favorite role model a drink. Like that is just so inspiring and cool. Or as I said in the last podcast, having the courage to go for the job, speak your mind freely and to do these things. And the response when you actually are so courageous is what I'm sitting here right now and saying, that you move other people when you move yourself. And I love that idea so much, that you're small, well, it might be really big for you, but the small things that you do in every single day that are courageous, that empowers other people to go out and to do great things. And I mean, I was blown away. I was like, I want to keep on talking. I want to keep on posting so that I can encourage more females to be going out there and doing incredible, courageous things. So that was my amazing, cool moment on the weekend. It was a serious pinch me moment. And I was like, I felt like I should have been the one crying standing there because I was blown away. But yeah, super cool experience. Obviously, when I'm out, I love to speak to you guys. I love to see you guys. I love interacting and putting faces behind the people, the beautiful people that message me every day. So thank you 100 times over. And just, yeah, so cool, so cool. But today I wanted to talk on a topic that I think that I have been reflecting on More so than ever, and particularly over the last few weeks, creating boundaries in so many different elements in my life, but particularly being super aware of the boundaries that you need to place when you are around people in general. And I think that this is probably one of the most underestimated areas in life that people really neglect, because we get caught up. We get caught up in moments, we get caught up in busyness. And then it gets to the end of the day and we feel, or maybe in moments throughout the day, and you feel exhausted and you feel drained and you feel emotionally fried, and you just can't figure out, like, it might not be the most stressful day of work, but you just feel like so exhausted by the end of the day. And the concept that I'm going to talk to you guys about today, I actually heard years ago. I couldn't even tell you where the resource is. If you know the particular resource of where I found this, then please hit me up. But I was listening to a discussion about recognizing when you are around people and identifying whether that person is a giver or a taker. Now, in life, you are going to very easily be able to identify what that person is, because a lot of people are driven by certain reasons. And they can't help it. People cannot help the way of thinking, the way that they are in life. But you can absolutely identify who a person is, and then understand, how do I treat that person? What sort of like boundaries do I need to personally set up, or what do I need to be doing? And it's also really important for you to recognize as yourself, what sort of individual am I? Because let me break down the concept and then let's figure out what you are. So it's pretty much what you would think it is. A giver is a person that when you interact with them, that you feel that you get enormous value from, that they add so much into your world, and you walk away and you feel motivated and inspired and excited to go and live life, and you feel like passionate and you feel like you have fundamentally had something added to your world. Now, a taker is somebody that you will walk away from and you will constantly feel drained. You feel that you feel emotionally stretched. You feel like that you are constantly trying to provide solutions to help them problem solve, and you're constantly, when you're having these interactions, and honestly, like your best friends can be like this, guys. Like, it's not to say that you're a bad person if you're a giver or a taker. It's just for you as an individual to understand what that person is, so that you then know how to interact and to protect yourself too. So if you are particularly a giver, if you feel that you are constantly going out of your way to do nice things for people the whole entire time, you feel like, wow, like, when is somebody going to give back to me? You need to be really protective of when you are surrounding yourself with takers, because for instance, I've just had an instance where I feel, I'm not going to go into details about the particular person or anything like that, because I don't want my friends and my family and stuff to think that I'm subcategorizing them. It's just my natural instincts to do so. But I've stepped away from a situation and I feel mentally really exhausted. Like, I feel really drained. I feel really tired. And I was like, I haven't really done that much today. Yes, I'm still recovering from Bali belly and I do get tired really easy. But I just was like, what is it? And I was like, you've just been in a situation where you have been taken a lot. And it's kind of like that, like, whoa, like shock moment if you're around someone for an extended period of time and they just keep on chipping away. And it happens to me, even who is acutely aware of when people are giver and taker. And it's easy, because if you are a giver, you're just going to constantly be like wanting to give, and it's a people pleasing thing too. Like, I'm a massive people pleaser. I literally love to make people happy. I love to entertain. I love to add value into the world. I am the definition of a giver, because that in my acute nature is to just keep on giving into environments, whether that's with conversation, whether that's with motivation. I am a hype girl. So for me, like, it's also on that fine line of introvert, extrovert sort of behavior as well when you look at this concept. But once I step away from being in those positions, that I feel mentally stretched and mentally that I just have hit a wall. Now, what I could have done better in that situation, and what I would suggest for anybody that is going into a situation like that, is instead of feeling that you have to constantly add to the room or you have to add to the conversation and stuff, start adding more protective boundaries. Add more boundaries into your space and the information that you might be providing or the conversation, let them talk a little bit more, let them hold within the space and let them fill the room. And then you'll feel that you don't have to step away feeling so exhausted. And I guess like for me, I'm the type of person that when I step away from things, as a giver, I want people to have a great time and to feel really good, but it's at the cost of my own expense. And so that definitely does chip away. That definitely does make me feel really exhausted and really tired. So definitely those are some tips. But one of my biggest things are you can't change the past. The past happens and you are going to have situations where you are highly extroverted like I am and you are going to feel mentally depleted. Now, the thing that you need to do, which is so, so important to do as a giver, is that you need to be able to refill your cup. Now, what I say about refilling your cup and to adding back is I realize that I have stretched and given a lot of myself. So now it's important for me to pour back into myself and for me to recharge and to recoup and to just say, pump the brakes for my day, pump the moment for my day, and say, I need to add back to me so that I can then add back value to the world. Because if you constantly give, and you never do things that actually reignite your soul and refill your cup again, you are going to get anxious, you are going to get depression, you are going to feel sad and sorry for yourself, and every task is going to be too hard. So straight away, I quickly ate something. I was just like, take a moment, don't be on social media, don't do anything, take a moment, eat your food, be really present, enjoy that food, love that moment. But then what would you really like to do in that right now? What would you love to do more than anything else? If time wasn't a number, if it wasn't a space, what would you be doing? And I'm not telling you that like if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you've just been like absolutely beaten to a pulp with a conversation with your boss and you feel drained and exhausted and stressed, that I'm telling you to like leave your office and to go and shoot a podcast. Not all, like I am incredibly blessed and I'm incredibly grateful that I get to choose when I'm taking my lunch breaks and I take my breaks and what hours I'm working. That's the beauty of my job and my choices for my life. And for me in this moment, it was that, I really want to keep on giving. See, I'm a sucker. I tell you, I'm such a giver. But I knew that this is something that's so personal and so deep to me that if I was able to shoot this podcast and impart value into you guys, that was giving directly back to me. And it would refill my cup and it would make me feel purpose and driven and inspired and excited to create again and go back into my afternoon of work where I'm going to be giving again. Because if you are working for the man, which my sweet angel boss is the man. But if you're going back into work, that you are present and that you feel fulfilled and you know that you've done something that's really selfless and for you for that day. And it might be that if you are working in a really busy office that, right in that moment, like with the circumstances and what you can always choose. You can always choose in the moments of your day. And I think people are really scared to speak their mind very freely. I've done the working 9-to-5 in the office, but I was extremely good at keeping boundaries within that space as well. And if it means that you need to say, hey, I'm just going to go train like right now. I need to go and like have an outlet and I would love nothing more than to crank my beats and go to the gym. Or maybe I would like to just go and get my nails done. Or maybe because like in an office job, you can take an hour throughout your day. And if you can't, you need to be setting some even stronger boundaries. But I would very much communicate to your team around you. Hey, I'm sorry, like I literally just hit like an absolute wall. And I'm talking about work concept because I think that that's probably the most relevant for people in every single day and feeling this like real depleted levels throughout the day and then trying to put like more caffeine on top of it. Like, all right, I'll just put some more caffeine on it, I'll sit back at my desk, I'll keep on doing work and you're not going to be productive, you're going to be distracted, you're going to be slower and you're not going to feel good about yourself when you go home. But if you make the conscious decision to give back to yourself when you have had a lot taken from you, you are going to become a more robust player in the market. You are going to become more mentally strong and resilient. Having boundaries and being able to have the power to vocalize your boundaries and to be able to go out into the world and say, you should be able to talk. Like I'm a firm believer about mental health and well-being and I'm a huge advocate. I've always been it. I've always spoken to my bosses about it. I have spoken my mind about it. I remember once one of my bosses, I was getting worked to an absolute pulp. Like they were working me to the bone and I hit an absolute wall and I said, hey, I am going to take a mental health day. And I never take even sick days or anything like that. And she turned around and said, hey, we're really busy at the moment. Would you mind taking your mental health day in at 2 days? You best believe that I went Jerry Springer about that situation. So I was like, all right, so you can tell me that if I was vomiting my guts out and I had diarrhea and I was unable to be on my computer because I was physically unwell, that would be justification for a sick day. But because I mentally feel exhausted, anxious, and not at home with myself right now, that mental health day is not the same league, that you want me to sit in a computer, you want me to keep on giving, even though I can't even physically give back to myself. And I told her that straight up, and I had no shame and no qualms to doing so. And I made it extremely clear, because I was leading a team at that point, that I was like, I want all of our team members to always feel that they have the power to turn around and say to any of their managers at any time, I'm not okay, so I need to look after myself before I look after you. And life is short, guys. I'm sorry, but particularly where I was working, no one was going to die if I didn't work that day. The stuff would have got done. And that's always the case. Always have that perspective, guys. Unless you are a surgeon or something that is extremely critical, where someone literally will die, if it comes to fashion, if it comes to fitness, if it comes to working in a supermarket, if it comes to packing shelves or punching in data, whatever profession that you choose to do, no one is ever going to die if you decide that you need to be able to choose and to add back to yourself and to take that moment and to take that break, take those couple of hours, take the mental health day. It is so, so important, guys, that if you do not add back to yourself, if you do not take time and set boundaries for yourself, and that could be work boundaries, communicating to your team, this is the time that you guys can contact me, this is when I'll be online, home boundaries, I know a lot of you guys will have children, you'll be saying, hey, it's really hard with kids. Yeah, it's absolutely so hard, and I cannot comprehend, or I will not try and relate with the struggles that parenthoods go through and people that are working multiple jobs in parenthood and stuff. But even you communicating to your children when they are at the age that setting boundaries for themselves, that's you setting an example for them. And it might be if they are old enough, obviously, I'm not trying to talk about infants and children that are going to be left by themselves. Hey, mum takes half an hour a day and she listens to her meditation, or, just setting those certain little increments. And as I said, I can't particularly relate, but creating boundaries and teaching the younger generation on how to use boundaries as well is an incredible coping mechanism that we are constantly bombarded with our space. We have social media, the conversation and chatter are always taking from you guys. Even if you are a taker, if you are someone that is on social media a lot, if you are someone that scrolls mindlessly, every single time you make the conscious decision to step onto social media and to pick up your phone and unlock it, you are having something taken from you, whether you like it or not. And it further goes into, obviously I'm speaking from the perspective of a giver, and I'm teaching you as a giver coping mechanisms, but as a taker, you can also have things taken from you as well, which I think is a really important reminder as well. But as a taker, I think it's really, really important for you to recognize, if you are a taker, if you are someone that you always feel like you are constantly taking from other people, what could you give back to that person? Because I don't believe that any person ever has to stay exactly the same. I don't believe that any person cannot change their behavioral habits, and I don't believe that a person can't become more acutely in tune with themselves and recognize that they could be a better, more robust human in the market, in the world, better yet, not the market I'm talking about. But you can become a better human. You can be giving more. And I'm not talking about that you have to be giving monetary sums. I'm not talking about that you have to be doing big, profound, huge things. I'm talking about giving in the smaller senses, whether you are driving along and you decide to slow down and let a pedestrian cross the road. That is giving. If you drive past and you can see pedestrians got heaps of groceries and they're struggling with their dog and stuff, and you don't slow down and you constantly go through, that is you taking. And that's why I generate, and I always say at the end of my conversations, go and be a kind person to other people. And I don't mean that you have to be a kind motherfucker all the time, because you know what? Even, I'm going to say, even as a very kind person that is extremely selfless and giving, I absolutely have my really shitty cunty moments where I just want to take some things, I am human. It is okay to be selfless. I'm not telling you have to be Mother Teresa the whole time. I'm saying that you are given a choice and you are given opportunities and moments. And you know what? In the fly of a moment, in a second, you might not be the best human. We are all ingrained to have moments of weakness and not feeling a positive, happy, amazing person. I am not going to say that I am that in any whatsoever shape or form, because I do get exhausted, I do get fatigued, I do get tired, but I am working every single day to become a better human, to become more of a giver, to be able to add more. I mean, that's why I'm allocating so much time to this podcast, to be adding value into people's worlds and to encouraging them to be more amazing people and doing great things with their life. And when you go, and I talked about this at the start, when you go home, when you go to bed at night, if you lie in bed at night and you can think, and you might be stressed, you might have so much going on and you might be feeling depleted and that life is not quite going the way that you want, and you might be feeling like the stresses, financial, children, work, whatever stresses you're going, whatever hard you are going through, if you can go back to bed and lie in bed and reflect and say, today I made a conscious decision to become a better person, to give more back into society, to set stronger boundaries in my every single day so that I can add back to my cup, so I can add value to the world, then that is you evolving. That is you getting one step closer to being able to achieve your big ass Disney dreams, goals, and aspirations. That is setting boundaries and refilling your cup will honestly add that much monumental value to your world. I cannot even begin to comprehend what you would be capable of if you started to look after yourself so then you can look after other people. And I think that is really why I wanted to jump on here and have this conversation today, because I think that in our society, in our every single day, we are prisoners of just giving the whole entire time, giving our emotional spend to TikTok for hours a day, giving to people that are constantly taking from you, giving to your family, really giving everything that you have to your family, and refusing to recognize that if you constantly are chipping away that and not adding back to yourself, that you will never be able to fully add value to those worlds and to fully be present and to fully achieve all the things that you want to do. So I hope that conversation has really helped some of you guys today. And I know that mentally, like obviously I will talk about mental health and mental being quite a lot on my podcast, because this is not like something that I take lightly, and I have gone through some of the most darkest chapters of my existence, which I will go into depth about. And I have dealt with the most polarizing anxiety as a full-time personal trainer, paying off a huge tax debt and giving every fiber of my being to every single one of my personal training clients, and going home and being alone and feeling in the depths of depression and having no idea how to get back. And I wish I could have told myself at that point that, you have to give back to yourself. You have to start setting some boundaries. And even it could have been when I was like crazy busy work and everything, setting the boundaries with time. So what time am I going on my phone? How am I using my time? Time is so precious, guys. And setting a boundary with time. This is how much time a day I will allocate to this. This is how much time. When you create time when time doesn't exist, that is a whole different form of boundaries. And that's when you see a lot of people talking about morning routines and tracking your time and focusing on how much time you spend on things in a day. Because if you are able to earn more time, fill the time with things that light up your soul and ignite you, you are giving back to yourself, so then you can give more to the world. You will be better at work. You will be a better parent because you're going to be present, because you're fulfilling yourself. You are going and doing and looking after yourself. So you can understand that ripple effect, guys. You can understand that when you set those boundaries and start focusing on yourself and feeling back and going back to you and really coming home to you, what incredible opportunities that is going to open up for you. And I think that I am talking about this so much today because I was really just thinking and reflecting to myself over the last few weeks how much I've made this a priority and how much it is igniting my soul again. And it is never too late to ignite your soul. It is never too late to start going after your passionate dreams, goals, and aspirations, whether you know exactly what it is or whether you're trying to figure it out. But yes, I hope that this conversation has helped. Even me, I love that when I can sit here and talk to you guys and I talk about things that I really just tick away with in my mind. Like my mind literally, the conversations that I sit here and talk with you guys are things that I would talk to my best friends with, that I talk to myself with, like the internal monologue of me digressing through human behavior and interaction and understanding humans in a more profound way so I can be a better human. I think that it's pretty cool. So I hope this conversation has helped. I feel like it's really helped me and just adding value back in this moment and choosing 25 minutes today instead of my lunch break sitting there scrolling and mindlessly doing something that I'm adding value to the world in the coolest possible way is it's a pretty profound feeling. But I hope go out and you do great things, that you choose yourself today, that you really are selfish in moments today and you are selfless and you speak your mind freely. You communicate to the people around you and tell them how you're feeling and why you are doing your actions. And I think that is also really underestimated, communication and telling people, I feel this way, so I am going. And I'm not telling you have to justify your behavior. You never have to justify anything about the way that you are. But if you let people know how you are feeling, instead of bottling up and reacting in a poor way, I don't feel good because I feel really stressed with this amount of work and I'm just going to take a few seconds, a few minutes, half an hour to just take a step back so I can take a step forward. People have so much more respect for you if you are open with your communication instead of guarded and feeling anxious and angry, because you will not be a good person to that other human when you are internally trying to deal with those things. So be open with your communication, speak your mind freely, have the power and the confidence to talk to the people around you. Go out and be a kind person if you feel that you can be a kind person today. But if it's the smallest deed that you are possibly able to do, let that person walk past with the groceries. Let the elderly lady stand behind you that with the 2 groceries cut in front of you in the supermarket. I'm talking about supermarket things because I just had a horror crime scene at the supermarket and I was like, wow, that person really could have treated that person. But I'll go into that another time. But go out, do great things, be a great thing. Thank you as always for joining me today, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.